What's up, party people? Your pal Miles here, and welcome to ShoBooVie. For those of you who have been here before, thanks for circling back. For those of you who are new to ShoBooVie, welcome, welcome. And if you're new and you don't quite know what the hell's going on, I can give you a quick overview here. But usually, what we do with ShoBooVie is I take a show, a book, and a movie, hence the name and super cool logo. Shout out my sister Deanna for making the logo and for making this awesome shirt that she got me for my birthday. It's super cool. Maybe one day we'll sell ShoBooVie swag and you can have a shirt of your own. But anyway, we take one of each of those bits of media and we tie them all together with some sort of unifying theme. You can see past episodes on the website I just mentioned. But we're going to do something a little different this week because I'm an egomaniac or a narcissist or whatever. And instead, I'm going to go through some of my favorite things. Actually, let me rephrase that. Some things that I think are the objective best, according to my professional opinion, of the year so far in the category of shows, books, and movies. But something else that I want to tell you guys really quick before we jump into all that is you may have noticed already is I tend to just sort of not edit when it comes to ShoBooVie. So I might like spit on myself, I might drone on, I might lose my train of thought, like whatever, you're gonna have to just deal with it because I don't want to learn how to edit. It seems like a horrible process. So we're doing this kind of like a live stream thing, but not a live stream thing. Anyway, let's get to it. So this month's episode, the best stuff of 2026 so far. You might see some things you recognize here. A quick addendum with books. I totally choose my own books by a lottery system of books young and old. So I don't actually have like a 2026 new releases that I'm going to be ranking on this episode. It's just books that I've happened to read so far this year that I'm ranking for you guys. So not the most topical, but you can hear what I'm reading and hear these books that I'm freaking out about this year. But anyway, let's get to it. So I have three countdowns of three, my top three things in each genre. And first, we're going to start off with shows. Coming in at number three is HBO Max's, whatever you want to call it, Hacks. They came out with a fifth and final season this year. If you guys haven't been watching Hacks, first off, what are you doing? It's awesome. It's been on, like I said, for half a decade, been one of the most awarded and acclaimed and heralded shows on television for about half a decade now. About a seasoned comedian, Deborah Vance, played by Jean Smart, teaming up with a little mouthy, super liberal television writer with Hannah Einbinder, who is amazing. I'm kind of in love with her. But anyway, their unique friendship is at the heart of Hacks. And while Hacks has been a little rocky here and there, it had a spectacular first season, kind of hit and miss second season, amazing third season, kind of hit and miss fourth season. They stuck the landing so hard in its fifth and final season and sent the show out totally on top. You remembered everything you loved about it. It is just an amazing ending to an amazing show. Hacks, you'll be dearly missed. One of the best comedies on television. But I think this is like 50 episodes, guys. So if you want, if that, so if you want to watch like 50 banger episodes of a killer TV show and not have to wait till the next season, now's the time because Hacks just ended. It is fantastic, guys. Highly recommend it. Coming in at number two, this might be a bit of an upset for some people, but my wife and I just worked our way through The Comeback, which is stealth, maybe big hyperbole here, one of the best TV shows, best comedy TV shows I've ever seen. Because The Comeback offers a totally unique perspective on television that we've literally never seen in any show ever. In that it's had a season every 20 years. The first season was in, I think, 2004, 2005. The second season was in 2014. And the newest, the third and last season, came out this year. And so Lisa Kudrow plays a an actress attempting a comeback every 10 years, essentially, named Valerie Cherish, who is just this like iconic character. And Lisa Kudrow just acts her ass off doing dramatic chops, comedic chops, sometimes both at the same time. It's a really, really fascinating character, and Lisa Kudrow kills it. But what makes the comeback so special is every 10 years it managed to has its finger right on the pulse of what is going off on television right now. So in 2005, it was reality TV. 2014, it was all the dark, premium cable, Game of Thrones, edgy television. And then, of course, this year they tackle AI. And it never feels like forced satire or like really ham fisted or heavy handed. It's always really pointed and smart and resonant because even though she is like so cringily desperate of a character sometimes, Valerie is such a sympathetic character, just honestly just caught in the hubbub of all of these different TV movements every 10 years. It is an amazing show. You've literally, I guarantee you've never seen anything like it considering the time between seasons. And the ending was perfect. So, so good. So, another killer ending of another killer comedy. But now we move on to number one. It's not very surprising, but
The prodigal son returns. Okay, on my couch. 1, 2, 3.
Tier 1 trauma, ETA, 6 minutes.
And so it begins.
Do you guys do this every day? If we're lucky.
pretty hard to beat the pit, guys. I mean, damn. This show wasn't even on my radar. I was like, oh, give me another medical procedural, blah, blah, blah. But then I finally sat my ass down and watched it, and it is so incredible. If you guys didn't watch the first season, which is legitimately one of the greatest seasons of TV drama in the history of television, it's incredible. Right up there with like Breaking Bad, Sopranos, The Wire, like what have you. It is a perfect season. It is an incredible show. And the second season, while not as good as its all timer of a first season, is pretty amazing though. It's like it is still just totally incredible and still manages to be the best thing I've seen on television this year. It still has the whole intensity, the real time feel. If you don't know about the pit, it takes place over a 15-hour shift in an emergency room in Pittsburgh. And each episode is an hour of the shift. It's sort of like a medical 24. And while this season is a bit more of a slow burn, the first maybe 4 or 5 episodes are maybe a bit slower than what we expected coming off the insanity of the first season. Once this season really gets going and all the chips start to fall that they built those first few episodes, it is incredible television. So intense, so emotional. There are moments of the pit that just wreck you. An amazing cast, and they do it a really, really amazing job this season too of fleshing out the characters from the first season even more so. I feel like in a show like this, it could be really easy to see your characters just go up in smoke compared to all of the plot pyrotechnics and crazy medical cases and things like that. But the pit manages to retain its heart by keeping you caring about the characters. So now we move on to books. Number 3 was a little tough. I was torn between this and the book that I featured this month, All the King's Men, but ultimately I went with Pale Fire by Vladimir Nabokov. If you know that name, but you're not sure where you heard it from, it's probably because he is the guy that wrote Lolita, which is heralded as one of the greatest books of all time, and of course one of the most controversial books of all time. But Pale Fire might even be like a crazier book because the first third of the book is a poem by just like a famous poet, a fictional famous poet. The last 2/3 of the book are a admirer of his, a professor at a local college, all of the notes that he took on the poem. But what evolves from those notes is this wild, like, political conspiracy. And the guy, you find out that he's actually like dangerously and toxically obsessed with the poet. And then you start to learn that maybe a lot of what he's recapping in the so-called poem notes, all the footnotes, are just like they're maybe just insane ramblings, and maybe none of what you're reading is true, and maybe none of it happened. And so it's a really, really incredible book because it takes the concept of like truth and really shows how scarily flexible it can be when it's in the wrong hands, which is something that's a little presciently scary right now. So yeah, really surprisingly topical book. Really incredibly structured. It's like, and just the more you read it, the more it sort of spirals. And by the end of it, your mind is just sort of blown because you think to yourself, maybe none of what I just read happened, but it was all so good. And you really want to go back and reread it and experience it again. Number 2, this is actually amazing that Pride and Prejudice is the second best book that I've read this year. It's kind of dumb because this is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. I had never read a Jane Austen. What do whatever you got to do, crucify me, whatever you need. I can't believe I didn't. I'm as shocked as you are, considering I have all these books behind me and I never read a Jane Austen. But if she finally landed in my random book lottery, and Pride and Prejudice, it did not disappoint. It is so damn good. Incredible characters, just so confidently and beautifully written. It's just like a pleasure to read. Um, yeah, amazing characters, amazing psychology considering how old it is. The dialogue is just as on point as you think it is. Whenever you think of like a little like English rom-com kind of period piece thing, that dialogue that you think of is from Jane Austen. It's because she kills it so hard writing it. The relationships are amazing. It has so much to say, obviously, about first impressions, getting to know people, truly forming a connection in a society where folks may be more prone to just form an opinion and run away with it. It is just as excellent as advertised, and I can't recommend it enough. People are going to be reading this book for hundreds of more years. And number one, again, Pride and Prejudice would be number one if I hadn't also read the greatest book I've ever read this year, which was Moby Dick. Again, another book that is just as amazing as advertised, guys. It's 500 pages long, and I wish I had, or maybe even 700 pages. I don't even fucking remember. But I wish I could read it all over again immediately. It was just so good. And it has that story, about the depraved one-legged Captain Ahab chasing down the white whale that took his leg and all this stuff. And all of that is amazing. Captain Ahab is a character for the ages, just like some incredible monologues, incredible speech. He is just like one of the best literary characters I've ever read in any book. But Moby Dick is about so much more than that like crazy quest that we all know of. It's about nature and all the intricacies of nature and how man needs to appreciate all of the little bitty pieces that go into every single thing of the world that we're in. It feels like that's what Herman Melville is driving at just by looking at like the anatomy of a whale. The man digs into like he's almost saying to a reader like, how is this possible? Like it is insane everything that comes together to create the world that we live in. And we should be just awe-inspired by that. And by coming up with that theme, he creates an awe-inspiring book. It's the best book I've read all year, the best book I've read in my entire life. So Moby Dick takes the easy number one spot here, despite how good Pride and Prejudice gets, or is. And finally, we get down to movies. Coming in at number three, it's actually pretty funny because I think number three on my list last year, pause, coffee break, was the first 28 Years Later movie, which also came out of nowhere to be one of the best movies of the year that I'd seen at that point. And by the end of the year, I still had it in my top 10 best movies of the year. It was incredible. And somehow, the little scene, criminally underrated, or not underrated, I should say. I'll say underseen because it was incredibly well reviewed and well received. Just no one saw it. No one watched it on streaming. No one went to the theaters to see it. What the hell is going on here? Because the sequel to 28 Years Later is better than the one that came out last year. It's so much stranger, but like darkly funny. And at the center are these two incredibly unique characters to the horror genre, played by an awesome Ray Fiennes and up-and-coming superstar Jack O'Connell. Two really, really incredible characters. One is a doctor that's been hiding out in a bone temple he created as he tries to find a cure for a disease and just cope with loneliness in the hellscape of the 28 Years Later, 28 Days Later franchise. Jack O'Connell plays this crazy but like super vulnerable, actually, just maniac Satanist. It's pretty amazing, and these guys gradually just work coming head to head and collide in the end in a super unique finale that you'll just never see in any other movie. Yeah, totally rocked my socks off. I don't know if anyone expected it to be as good as it was, but whew, it is good. Can't recommend these movies enough. This might turn into the greatest horror franchise of all time at this rate. Number two, they're pretty much the inverse of the Bone Temple in that no one saw it, and then we go over to Project Hail Mary, and it seems like everyone saw it. It's I think it's the highest grossing movie of the year so far, besides like the shitty Michael movie, but like we're not even going to count that. Like whatever. And for good reason. I mean, this is amazing stuff, guys. I know it has its haters because it's like so wholesome, but like, why are we hating? Why does being wholesome and sentimentality make a movie like? Why do we need to condescend to a movie like that? Sometimes we just need a movie to bring us some positive energy. And that's what happens with Project Hail Mary. Features one of the greatest friendships I've ever seen in a movie before. It's like Woody and Buzz Lightyear level stuff between Ryan Gosling and a little alien pal he finds as he journeys out into space to try to save the world, Rocky the alien. They have a legitimately touching and emotional friendship, and so wholesome. And Ryan Gosling pretty much acts across from this CGI creature, puppet creature, for like 70% of the movie, and he rocks it. It's probably the best performance of his career because he's acting across from no one for the almost 2.5 hours of this movie. He still manages to be so charismatic, so emotional, so earnest, and really the whole movie is just so earnest. And it just has, like I said, a great, wholesome, hopeful, Bond centered message that I just think is really valuable right now. And number one, total upset pick here. Let's check out this trailer.
Who was that?
Jason, he wanted to let us know that our son is dead on the front step. I told him not to worry, he will come back to life soon.
How are things with Jeremy? It feels like somehow I'm cursed. He doesn't want to listen to anybody.
Stop it! Talk to me! Hey, talk to me!
And how is he with his siblings? He's very sweet. Have you ever heard about a family like this? Jeremy, look at me. Look at me, please.
So you're probably looking at me like, Miles, what the hell are you talking about, bro? What is this movie? And honestly, I react the same way. I saw this trailer a few times for a few other movies, and I thought it was a snoozer. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm an indie guy, but that looks like too indie. I don't know. But then I started seeing reviews, and they were literally near perfect. Some of the highest reviews. I follow this website called Metacritic, and it was one of the highest reviewed films in Metacritic in the last few years. So I was like, all right, I guess I gotta go check this out. Guys, Blue Heron splattered my brain. It was amazing. It starts off the story that you see in the trailer. This family that just moved, they're a mixed family. Some kids from one marriage, some kids from another. And one of the children is a bit troubled, and they're trying to figure out how to deal with him being so troubled. But then all of a sudden, halfway through the movie, and a bit of a spoiler alert here, but to experience it is a whole other thing, it kind of becomes a documentary all of a sudden. And then, for the final third of the movie, it merges documentary with fiction. I've literally, and I've like thought about this because I've said this to people, and I'm like, am I being hyperbolic? I've never seen a movie like this in my life. I've never seen someone like utilize the medium of film in such a therapeutic way, in such a realistic versus fiction and a melding of the two kind of way than the writer and director of Blue Heron does, Sophie Ramvari. This is technically her debut movie, and that like is mind blowing. It's I was like a weepy mess. It's like gives you if you guys have ever seen After Sun, it's become like an all timer indie film from a few years ago. Same like intensely personal vibes. And as soon as you realize how real the first story you saw, the story we just saw in the trailer, actually is, and what Sophie Ramvari is trying to do by mixing the documentary aspects into the movie and everything, you realize she is just tearing herself open in front of you and just like opening her heart. It's like one of the rawest movies I've ever seen without being like traumatic or crazy, just heart-wrenchingly sad or anything like that. Like, it's not a negative watch. You see in movies that are like almost a negative experience because you've watched them and they're so sad. This is very, very sad, but it is so you have such empathy, and it just if it'll make you feel a way that you've never felt watching a movie before, because a movie like this has like never really been made before. So that's my number one. It's a sneak number one, and it is a banger, guys. Highly recommend you hunt this one down if you want a cozy, emotional, empathetic experience. So anyway, guys, I know this was a bit of a long episode, but that's how these ones get when I'm recapping all my favorite stuff. Whatever, like I said, egomania. But yeah, if you dug this, you can go check out some of my best of picks from last year. I have running lists of best movies, books, favorite stuff that I have on the website too. So go ahead, check me out on Facebook, Instagram, go to the website, snoop around. But bottom line, thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys. And I'll see you next time. Toodles.